Yeah, everybody, my name is Lowell, and welcome to the channel. So we have a reaction video. This is going to be how the American flag has changed throughout history. So let's jump in. Let's have a look at this one, shall we?
The American flag is one of the most recognized symbols in the U.S. of A. The red, white, and blue conjures up images of Uncle Sam, summertime barbecues, and too many country songs to count. While the stars and stripes have long defined America, you may be surprised to know that the flag itself wasn't defined for quite a while. Before, during, and after the Revolutionary War rocked the 1770s, patriots spread all over the country had their own idea of what we should be running up the flagpole. In other words, the American flag has long been a work in progress, with progress pics to go along with it. So, today we're letting our history freak flags fly as we tell you about every version of the American flag. But before we get into Old Glory's glow up, why don't you hit that subscribe button, then drop us a line in the comments and let us know what other American art history you want to hear about. For now, let's sing some Yankee Doodle Dandy and Grand Old Flag. When America was getting its rocky start during the Revolutionary War in 1775, they needed a flag to hoist and call their own, separate from the British. The solution was a mixture of the Union flag for the kingdoms of England and Scotland and the familiar 13 stripes representing the 13 original United Colonies.
I've never seen a flag like that. Okay.
George Washington was the first to use the flag for the Continental Army, which boosted its popularity and made it the flag to display during that era. The flag had the makings of what its successors would end up looking like.
That's so weird to see the Union Jack associated with the American flag. That's so weird. Okay, the Union flag, all right.
However, the Union Jack in the corner seemed to imply eventual reconciliation with Great Britain. So when the Declaration of Independence was signed on July 4th, 1776, the Grand Union flag swiftly fell out of fashion. A year after that first Independence Day, the Flag Act of 1777 attempted to standardize what the American flag should look like. On June 14th, it became official. The 13 stripes in alternating red and white, we love. But instead of the Union Jack, they opted for 13 stars within a blue field, representing a new constellation. And that's why we celebrate Flag Day every June 14th.
Oh, okay. The blue with the stars looks like the European flag, not gonna lie.
In 1751, founding father Benjamin Franklin made a joke that the new colony should send England a gift of rattlesnakes. And everyone had a good laugh. If you think that's funny, you should see his Netflix special, though it's mostly about cancel culture, which is weird, because it's like, you're Benjamin Franklin. Nobody's trying to cancel you. Also, aren't you dead? Anyway, people loved the association of America and rattlesnakes so much that it inspired South Carolina patriot Christopher Gadsden to create a flag that represented his view of the New World. The coiled and ready-to-strike timber rattlesnake on a yellow background with the words, "Don't tread on me," underneath, became one of the most popular symbols of the American Revolution with its defiant and vigilant stance against those who would do us harm. Also, snakes are really cool. The flag rose to new heights after being unfurled on the mast of the flagship USS Alfred, commanded by Commodore Esek Hopkins. Hopkins was made Commander-in-Chief of the Navy, and he used the Gadsden flag as his personal flag during the war. Today, you could still find the Gadsden flag used by history enthusiasts and neighbors you drive by and think, ah, so that's the Libertarian, as well as several variations and parody versions for just about any cause you could think of. That's freedom, baby. The Battle of Bunker Hill was an important part of the early Revolutionary War. The British had besieged Boston and attempted to take control of the harbor by fortifying Bunker and Breed's Hill. When the colonial forces heard about this, they did their best to push back, but ultimately retreated against the British. Not all was lost, however. As the British counted their dead from the encounter, they realized just how much of a force they were up against now that a ragtag band of rebellion fighters were able to give such a significant pushback against the mighty British Army. Allegedly, throughout the battle, the Continental troops rallied behind a certain primarily blue flag with England's St. George Cross in the upper left corner. However, as a way to throw a bit of shade, literally and figuratively, the cross is defaced with a pine tree, a symbol of New England. This story is a good one. There's no way to actually prove that the flag ever appeared on the battlefield. Can a flag commit stolen valor? We assume this flag was created between 1776 and 1777, since that's around when Long Island Minuteman Captain John Hulbert commanded his soldiers. However, historians have since been divided on the authenticity of this discovery, claiming the flag dates back to the 19th century, not the 18th. Debates aside, in 1927, the faded and tattered flag was found on a Long Island property owned by Hulbert. And the flag is notable because it appears to be the precursor of what would eventually become the official American flag. It had the red and white stripes and the blue canton, complete with 13 stars, though their placement was unique, almost as if someone tried to duplicate the crosses of St. George and St. Andrew using only stars.
Okay. There's been so many flags. Crazy.
The legendary Betsy Ross flag is probably the most recognizable flag to fly during the American Revolution. The flag features all the best bits from each previous flag attempt, including 7 red stripes, 6 white stripes, and a blue canton with a circle of 5 pointed stars inside. The story goes that George Washington and financier Robert Morris commissioned upholsterer Betsy Ross to make the flag based on a design by Morris. However, some historians dispute the claim that Ross had anything to do with the flag's creation, as no paper trail supports the notion that she was even in the room when it happened. So write a musical about that, Lynn. Despite the uncertainty, the Betsy Ross flag story has stuck through the ages. With its red representing valor, white purity, and blue loyalty, the Betsy Ross flag was the most popular flag of the original 13 colonies, and has cemented its place in history as the great-great-great-grandfather of Old Glory today, no matter who sewed it together.
Okay.
Before we had a nationally accepted flag in America, there was a lot of hubbub around what the flag should represent. Many were adamant that the 13 colonies be a prominent feature, while others wanted to ensure the colors red, white, and blue made it in there. Then you got the guys who were ticked off about Britain's relative tolerance of French Catholics in Canada and wanted the flag to represent that. It was like Seinfeld's Festivus. Everyone got a chance to air their grievances. And the George Rex flag was a fabric forged by grievances with Catholicism, with which the largely Protestant Britain had some major issues. The Quebec Act of 1774 removed references to Protestant faith in the Oath of Allegiance, allowing the province of Quebec to practice Catholicism freely. The Protestant colonists in New York and New England didn't like that one bit, and made sure their flag reflected that. In a not-so-subtle diss, the addition of "no popery" flew high in New York neighborhoods as a protest to the king's government. Boy, popery is a word we just don't use enough. Try to use it in a casual conversation today. Around 1776 or so, the people of Easton, Pennsylvania wanted to hoist a flag during the public reading of the Declaration of Independence when it came through their town. So they decided to whip up their own. The 1777 Flag Act was specific on what the American flag should look like, and to Easton's credit, they followed every direction. It has red, white, and blue, stars, stripes, the whole 9 yards.
I mean, you can't say it doesn't. It definitely does. That's so weird looking though. So weird.
They just decided to get a little creative with the placement, effectively reversing the location of the stars and the stripes. If you ever find yourself in Easton, check out the Easton Area Public Library, which houses the flag to this day.
Wow.
The flag that was supposedly carried into battle at Bennington, Vermont in 1777 is supposed because historians aren't so sure the Bennington flag was there at all. More likely, the flag was designed around the War of 1812, or even in 1826, to mark the 50th anniversary of the signing of the Declaration of Independence. The flag is unique in several ways, most obviously by the large 76 in the corner, commemorating the year America declared its independence. Other slight changes from designs at the time is the stripe placement, with white replacing red compared to other designs. There are still 13 stars, but they are 7-pointed instead of the familiar 5 points. Despite, or perhaps because of its differences, the flag is a popular variant with flag collectors both inside and outside of Vermont.
It's amazing you just watch switching those red and white stripes. It makes it look, it's so different as well. It kind of catches your eye. It's like, okay. Very interesting so far. Very, very interesting. Obviously, that's why they've had regulations, so keep the flag the same. But, man, some variation, some weird. When you first look at it, it's like, oh, that's weird. Interesting.
The Brandywine flag.
Whoa.
The flag with its own little flag inside.
What the?
Flagception. September
Flag
1777 saw the massive Battle of Brandywine, where more troops fought than any other battle in the Revolution. Such a battle
Wow.
required a flag to fly, but since there was still no unified national flag, the various militias would often carry their own flags into battle. This specific design may have been primarily associated with the 7th Pennsylvania Regiment Company, under the command of Captain Robert Wilson. The Brandywine flag holds the distinction of being one of the very first colony flags to feature 13 stars and 13 stripes, a pronto version of the flag America uses today.
It also, the other thing is, it's funny how they've taken, little bits of every flag, star placements, count, and everything, just to kind of get to that one flag that you guys use today. So it's interesting how it's evolved over that time.
If his flag's color scheme is any clue, this one comes from the time the United States was stuck in a Freddy Krueger nightmare. What?
That reminds me of Rabbitohs in Australia, which is a rugby league team here in Sydney. That's their colors, red and green.
1, 2, King George is coming for you. But for realsies, during the Revolutionary War, the British had a fort at Vincennes, Indiana, and Patriot George Roger Clark wanted it. So he led a battle to Vincennes to take it, and upon his victory, flew the red and green Clark flag to celebrate. This is the only early flag concept in America to feature this unique color pairing. Today, the George Rogers Clark flag may not be flown too much, but you can get Christmas wrapping paper that looks similar enough for a fraction of the cost. The Serapis flag was an American flag with the standard stars and stripes, but every third stripe was colored blue instead of the typical alternating red and white. Benjamin Franklin wrote about this flag to his ambassador to Naples, describing its design in detail. Excited that the stars on the flag denoted a new constellation, Franklin even had one sewed up and shipped off to his naval officer buddy, John Paul Jones. Jones happened to be flying the flag when his crew captured the British naval ship HMS Serapis in 1779, giving the unchosen flag its official name.
Wow.
Of all the flags during America's childhood, the Bedford flag is by and large the most unique. The Bedford flag saw others using stars and stripes in their design and said, "No thanks." Likely created in the early 1700s as a cavalry militia's banner in Massachusetts, the Bedford was carried into battle by Minuteman and Massachusetts native Nathaniel Page. The flag made no secrets as to what the Minutemen were about, featuring an armored arm, a dagger, and the Latin phrase "Vinca aut morira," which translates to "conquer or die." If that doesn't make you want to run away with your red tailcoats between your legs, we're not sure what will.
Cowpens, okay.
Let's face it, before the American loyalists bested the British at the Battle of Cowpens, South Carolina, the Revolutionary War was not going well for the 13 colonies. And supposedly, the battle that paved the way for America's victory featured a specific flag flying. William Batchelor of the 3rd Maryland Regiment carried a flag into battle that featured 13 white and red stripes and 13 white stars on a blue background. However, the placement of the 8-pointed stars was unique. Instead of 13 in a circle like the Betsy Ross variant, 12 stars form a circle around the 13th. However, some historians take issue with this origin story as Batchelor's regiment was not part of the battle, making this thing more likely a 19th century design, rather than one flown during the Revolutionary War. Sorry, Batchelor, we cannot give you a rose. So what do you think? Want to hear more about fabled flags? Give us a salute down in the comments. And while you're there, check out some of these other...
That was very interesting. I love the fact that some of those designs were well out of play. So, the one with the arm and the green and red one. But some of them you could kind of see, okay, they've obviously taken that little bit of something from that flag and that flag and that flag, and they've put it all together to make it what it is today. So, very unique and very interesting history. As I said, if you don't have that one flag that everybody's flying under, everybody's going to make their own flag. Whatever they've got in that area. So, but that was very interesting. I like that. I like that history. I love history myself. So, every day is a school day, as they say. So, that was so interesting. So interesting as well. I've heard about the lady that sewed, I can't remember, Betty something, can't remember her name, but I've heard that story that, she sewed the flag and whatever else. So Interesting times, that's for sure, for that old glory. So let me know if you enjoyed that, guys. Thank you very much for joining me today. Make sure you stay safe, and I'll definitely see you in the next reaction video. Oh, you're still here? You want more content? Why don't you check out my Patreon down here? You'll get plenty more content and some exclusive videos over there too. If not, why not check out this one over here?